Your Journey to Healing, Reaching Women with a Desperate Cry is an 8-week Zoom seminar in which Kamala and Winston help women to start living their best life by rediscovering the image of God in their life. Kamala, a licensed marriage and family therapist, joins her husband of 16 years, an ordained pastor, to marry the clinical and the spiritual. You will begin living your best life filled with love, joy, and peace. Register at kwministries.net for this life-changing seminar.
So anxious resistant. So remember there were 4 categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anxious resistant kids were on the opposite end of the spectrum. They didn't have a lot of self-confidence. They really clung to their caregivers, whether it's parents. When I say caregivers, I mean parents, grandparents, just old people in their lives who were, really part of that initial bonding experience. For these kids, they tended to have really exaggerated emotional reactions to stuff, but they also kept the distance from their peers. How did this translate into adulthood? That translated into anxious, preoccupied adults. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of formed less secure bonds with partners and feel really desperate for love and affection.
God is patient. God is kind. God is long-suffering. God never fails. God always hopes. God always trusts. God always perseveres. God doesn't envy. God doesn't boast. God doesn't seek his own, but is always seeking what's best for you. God rejoices in the truth.
That's right.
God doesn't define love. God demonstrates love.
There's a commercial that used to say, "Don't leave home without it." I think it was MasterCard. And at the end they would say, you couldn't put a price on it, a price could not be put on what you and your wife did for me this week. And I'm just praying that your ministry will continue to be the blessing to others as it has been to me this week. Just the opening of the eyes, just seeing God's word with a whole different set of lenses, just understanding what is required of us and laying aside the misnomers, the erroneous teachings, the errors, and just accepting who I am in Christ. And no one else could tell me who I am but the Word.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with us all week long.
Thank you for being there with us.
Hello and welcome back to Monday Nights with KW. Winston, if it's Monday night, where are we?
We are live with KW, and we are so excited to be with you on tonight. How is your Monday?
I'm celebrating because we are celebrating Mondays in a way that we have never celebrated Mondays before. And when I say that, here's what I want to remind us of. You guys know from background, from your own experience, from hearing us say it too, that sometimes when we think about Mondays, we think of the Monday blues, right? Oh, we're going back to work. Oh, the weekend is over. That's kind of how we think about it. But we want to turn that on its head by telling you and telling ourselves to celebrate Mondays. So What are you celebrating today?
Well, I am so grateful and thankful. I was at the gym this morning and I met a young man. I was just at the gym. And I usually do a certain routine, trying to look like you.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, I usually do a certain routine, and I just heard somebody behind me say, are you a priest? And I said, no, I'm not a priest, but I'm a pastor. And he said, can I talk to you for a second? I said, yeah, I'll come over there. And so I cleaned up my ear and then went over to where he was, and we talked for the rest of the time that I was there, and it was a great conversation. I think I met a new friend, so I'm celebrating that today. I'm really thankful for that.
Awesome. That is awesome.
What are you thankful for?
What am I thankful for? Well, listen, so I spend a lot of time at work, and work can be a place that you don't celebrate. But I am celebrating today because I've been working on this project for about 3 weeks now. Yes, I've been working at this place for 4 weeks. I've been working on this project for 3 weeks. It's a pretty daunting project, and I feel like I'm right at the cusp
of a breakthrough,
success. And if that ain't something to celebrate, I don't know what is. Truth is, I love when I get to the end of a project and I can say, did that.
All right. Well, I'm also celebrating you your defense. You have a date for your defense.
End of another project.
Oh yes, I'm excited for you. Shoot, I feel like I'm getting named after. What are you celebrating today? Would you tell us in the chat? Let's go into where we can see everybody's chat. Would you tell us in the chat what you're celebrating today? We're also celebrating having Dr. LaKeisha Williams on with us. This is going to be a night like we have never, ever experienced on KW Live. Why? Well, number one, so in thinking about her, Sister Shanika had not says she says, "Hey family." I thought you were gonna say you're celebrating family. Tell us what you're celebrating, Shanika. Shika. Tell us what you're celebrating. We have never had a guest sing for us, and Dr. Williams is going to sing tonight. So that's just a piece of that. This is going to be a night like no other. Second thing is what normally happens. Oh yes, Shika is celebrating her son's birthday today. So happy birthday! I can't sing. I sing happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
He's 23 years old.
Happy birthday, Shanika's son. Happy birthday to you. Make a version.
Maybe look good. Okay. So what normally happens is at the end of our program, we realize, oh man, the conversation is so good. We need to have a part 2. Well, in just talking in the background, we realize, oh, we need a part 2 and maybe a part 3 or maybe a part 4. So Dr. Williams is with us tonight. She's going to be with us several more times, and she's going to bring company with her, the other Dr. Williams, Pastor Toussaint Williams. So get ready for a beautiful night. Happy birthday, Kadarius. You're 23 years old. We wish you many, 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 many more birthday, and we're celebrating with your mom your birthday on tonight. I know Kamala is not going to let me move on. But,
not at all. Now, I love the way Shanika got us started off in the comments. I want to remind everybody who's on, you want to get in here on the comments. Here is why. It's just a piece of it, right? If you comment, ask questions, engage with us, you get to be in the run-ins at the end of our hour for a gift from our store. And yes, now I'll get to the store. So there we go.
This is my sales lady right here.
I see you, Dad. You just logged on. So here's how it works. So
I don't think your dad should be allowed to win anymore. Okay? Okay?
Well, listen, this is for everybody. I want for you guys to comment, ask Dr. Williams questions, share your own experiences. A part of this conversation is for us to be able to engage in ways that we don't typically do. And that's a big part of the reason why we storytell, essentially, on this show. I want for you to know, though, if you're not a winner, you can still win. I say this all the time. Head over to our store, www.kwministries.net/shop.
You won't miss anything. Sister Remo is actually watching from the website right now.
Yep.
See, says there it is. She's actually watching us from the website right now. So Sister Remo, don't just watch us from the website. Shop. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
And no, I wanted to mention before we jump in here in earnest with Dr. Williams, one of the things I like about the store, I was kind of just looking through stuff again today, just to kind of refresh my own mind. Did you know that you could get an adult coloring book for $2 in our store?
Yes.
$2, guys. Yes. So if you don't win, for $2, you can have something
that
really
relieves
cool.
Stress. That really helps you. It's a great coping mechanism. And then there's a lot of other cool stuff in there. Cups and totes. And there's a lot of free stuff in there too.
And
so
digital
please.
stuff, yeah.
All right, listen, I'm really, really, really excited about talking with Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams is a mother of 2 sons. One just graduated from college. I can't wait to talk with her about that. She has 2 siblings, 2 sisters. She is a graduate of Oakwood University. Did a little stint at Spelman University. She's a former principal of Oakwood Academy. She has moved into public school in the Huntsville area. She's married to Dr. Toussaint Williams, who is the Associate Ministerial Director for South Central Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. I am proud to say Dr. Williams is my friend. I have adored this woman since she was in the 11th grade. So since she was a child, I have looked up to her, and we're really, 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 really excited to have Doc on. So let's just bring her in and let's start the conversation. Oh, there she is. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hello. Good to see everybody.
We are happy to see you. We are so excited that you're able to join us. We know that the school year has wound down, and you have ended
Praise God.
up of graduates of the mother of a graduate. How does that feel?
Oh, mixed emotions. I'm very excited for him. Very excited that he's going and continuing his journey. I'm excited to get him out the house and to free up another room in the house. But there's also just that mixed emotion. I'm gonna miss him terribly. He's actually traveling this weekend, and I missed him already. And he's just gone for a few days. So y'all pray for me. In other words, just pray for me.
Absolutely. Before we jump into the conversation, before we got on, you were telling us a little bit about the Minority Choice Fund, which is a nonprofit that you and your husband are involved in. Can you just give us a little bit about that before we start chatting?
Absolutely. So my husband and I, we are both products of Christian education. And in both of our stories separately, we both have a testimony of individuals who reached out to help support us while we were going through Christian education in different ways. And so we decided that we wanted to start a fund that would help to fund education for students. This is something that we've always kind of done in our personal sphere, but we decided to formalize it by making it an actual nonprofit. And so we are actively working. That's my job for the summer. So now that the school year has ended, my job for this summer is to start to really work to try to find some grants and things like that so that we can just help to do what we can to send kids to private schools. And nothing against, I'm a public school teacher, so this is nothing against public schools, but there are some spaces where students would benefit more from a private space, just the smaller ratio, the smaller community, that close-knit community and things like that. And so just as a product of that education, and now with sons that are also our son just graduated from high school, and then we have another one who's going on to high school. For both of them, when we just think about what we've seen God do in their journey and how their schooling played a large part in their faith and building their faith, we just wanted to be able to give that back. And so that's our nonprofit. Is very new. We just started it last fall. And so we're just praying that God will continue to bless and allow us to be a blessing to others.
Wonderful.
Let me ask you a question. If there's somebody on here that wants to give some money to a great cause like that, how would they do it?
So we have a website. It's called minoritychoicefund.org. And that's something that they can go to, and there's a donation link there on the website.
So that's minoritychoicefund.org. Okay, and yes. We'll put it up on the screen. There we go.
Yes,
if
perfect.
you want to give to this worthy cause, I know I went to Pine Forge and Oakwood because the flowers sent me to school to doctors in my church, so I know what it's like to benefit from that. So that's how I met Dr. Williams as a child.
Yeah,
it's because they sent me to school, and that gave us friendships. Carl Brewer, my best friend. That gave us friendships for a lifetime. And so, yes, please, I'm kind of asking you, please, let's donate there. We're going to donate there.
Yeah.
And so we're so grateful. I wish we had that conversation before, Keisha. We would have done something else. Oh, man. Anyways.
Well, like you said, there'll be other moments. So
there'll be other moments. We're so grateful for that. We're looking forward to that. All right. So again, let us welcome everybody. I know Sister Remo is out there. Hannah, Brother Glenn, I know. Well, if you comment, then we'll see your names and we're able to say hi to you, so forth and so on. All right, Keish, you went to one more question about your sons and where they go to school. Is there any tension at all inside of your mind and inside of, hi Kendra, welcome, of your husband's mind, that your boys went to or go to, and you know where I'm going.
Yes, I know exactly where you're going.
Oakwood Academy.
Oh,
That
yes.
cursed place.
Yes, yes. So listen, we of course, we're products, most of us are products of Pine Forge Academy, a predominantly or historically Black academy in the Pennsylvania area. And so, we definitely got it when we made the decision to send our sons to Oakwood. There was someone that just came up to us even here at graduation, and she said, "It just tickles me every time I see that your sons graduated from Oakwood Adventist Academy." But one of the things for us now, we actually had plans to send our oldest son to Pine Forge his junior year, and then. And this is a conversation that's going to come at a later time. So this is a part of the part 2
The
conversation.
basketball.
But the basketball happened, and so we
Yes.
really didn't want to interrupt that because he was such a crucial part of the team and what was happening, what God was doing there in that community. And so we definitely, and then of course the pandemic also happened. And so there were just a number of things where God just kind of made it very clear that it was for us to keep him near and keep him close and keep him in this community. But yes, we get it all the time. I have to go down there for my 25th, and Winston, Pastor Taylor, we'll go down there for our 25th, and I have to look those people in the face and let them know that I sent my children to Oakwood. But that it was a blessing. I just praise God for institutions, for Christian institutions
Yes.
that are pouring into our minority community, especially. And that's really important. And so it's an excellent school, and they came out on top. My oldest son just graduated with honors. He graduated with a number of scholarships and things like that, was accepted into multiple schools. And I'm just beyond proud of what he was able to accomplish as a result of his educational experience.
Awesome.
I know I'm congratulating you, but just to let you know, at our 25th, I will be the first voice that say, "Keisha, where did your boys go to school?" Listen, write it down. I'm going to be the 1st one.
Don't call me out. Don't call me out. It's going to be a whole discussion. Yes.
I'm excited. Hi, Ashley. Welcome, Ashley. I'm actually looking forward to inviting you on. Hi, Christine. Hi, Mom. Thank you all so very much for being here. We're really, really grateful. We're speaking with Dr. LaKeisha Williams, and we're going to have a really, really, really good conversation. Let's start with life at boarding school. How was Pine Forge? How was that experience for you? Can we start there? Is that a good place to start?
That's an excellent place to start because, again, as a public school teacher, I have a lot of perspectives on education. I have strong perspectives on the fact that education really needs to be centered around the individual. So I'm a special education teacher. And so what I specialize in is providing individualized educational experiences. Every child is different. Every child needs something different. For me, Pine Forge, and honestly, I had no plan to go to a boarding academy. I was perfectly fine in my day academy in the Maryland, D.C. area. And my mom just kind of randomly said, "Hey, are you interested in going?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I guess." It wasn't like there was a family history of attending the school or anything like that. It was just more so one of those where she said, "Would you like to go?" And looking back on it, I actually met my husband there. So that could have been part of the reason why God sent me there. But I felt like that experience was necessary for me. I was a very mature student, very good with my academics and things like that. But I needed to get away from home, close enough to home to be able to, for my parents to still check in on me, still. And so that independence that I received there, the friendships and the family and the connections that I made there, those were necessary for that point in my life, right? And so, I definitely recommend it. I don't think it's something that's for everyone, but I definitely recommend it for those who feel like they're in a space where, or your child is in a space where they just need a new experience, or maybe even a new community. Maybe they just need to find family. And you definitely get family in that space. It's
Yes, you do.
We might not like each other. We might talk about each other. We might call each other's names. But at the end of the day, I know that there are a handful of people that if I were to call them and say that I needed something, they would be there for me. And so that was something that you just can't makeup. And honestly, just years, here we are, 25 years. And I actually just met with a couple of the individuals in the class. They're starting some initial plans. And so definitely, Pastor Taylor, you'll be getting that. Hopefully, Kamala, you'll be able to come with him as well, and y'all bring your family, because we want to see what
She
God is
doesn't
doing
want
in
to
our
come.
country. But we
She's a
need you to
hater.
be there.
She's
We
a
need you
hater.
to come with the kids too, because we need to see this play out. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's family, and that's something that you can't always get when you're in a day school experience. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
I'm curious.
Hmm.
How old were you when you transitioned to Pine Forge?
Oh, wait, I was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was right at 16. I was coming off a trip. So this was a time when I guess they allowed students to travel abroad frequently. I think students still travel abroad, but you're a little more careful about it. But my parents put me on a plane with another friend my age. So we were both 16, and we went and traveled abroad to Spain. And so I was coming off of that trip when my mom actually, I think she called me in Spain and said, "Is this something you would like to do?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take it. I'll go." And even that trip and all of it, very costly things, but there was a community behind me that definitely poured into me being able to have those opportunities. And so, yeah, it was 16 years old, so I was young, a baby.
I have a question for you, Keisha.
Yeah.
So in your yearbook, in your senior yearbook,
Hmm.
the question was asked, who is most likely to come back and be principal of Pine Forge? And that
Oh
was you.
dear. Oh
How?
dear.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But how is it that at 16, 17 years old, you were so focused where we all respected you? Where did that come from? Where we recognized that your future would be exactly what it is today? Where did that come from at 16?
I think, well, first of all, I think it was always God, just kind of bringing out our gifts and our talents. I think that what God gifts us with often shows itself at a very early age. I think this is why, God provides guidance in regards to making sure that you're training up a child in the way that they should go. So the idea of that is that you're studying this child to see what direction are they heading in, what are the things that they love, what are the things. So I definitely, first of all, would like to just say that I think it was a God thing. I was an educator from a very early age, and even though I was a strong student, probably could get accepted into a number of schools. You guys know I went to Spelman and things like that. But at the end of the day, I was a teacher at heart, and I love to educate. I love to show people. I love to help. So all of those things probably really stood out at an early age. But I definitely feel that, it was just your gifts. So I feel like, Winston, and I don't have the yearbook, but I feel like in the yearbook, if it didn't say it, we all knew that you would be a pastor. At that time, you were doing tent meetings at 16. You were doing them very early where you would, and I'll never forget in Delaware, where you were doing those things. And so I think it was more so that your gifts just start to kind of shine. And if you look at your child, if you study your child, whatever that gifting is, whatever that area of gifting it is, it'll just start to come forward. For me, I'm seeing it in my son. He's 18 now, and that music gift is coming forward. But then there's also that physical, that sports gift. So he's going to study sports management in school, but I'm also encouraging him to possibly look into a music minor as well, because I think that there's a music producer in there that maybe will do something on the side or, whatever. And I think that's the other thing too. I'll never forget, Winston, in one of our classes, our teacher asked us what we wanted to be when we grow up. And I'll never forget, there was a student that shared two things that were really just kind of night and day. The two things that she shared that she wanted to do that were her loves, right? And I feel like, and the teacher said to her, "Well, what are you going to do with that?" Basically kind of suggesting that having these two opposite loves was impossible. But we're seeing in our world all the time where people are able to do marriage and family therapy like you're doing, Kamala, but then at the same time you're writing books, right? And you're doing these ministries and different things like that. And so for me, I feel like it was just having that space to let the gifts that God had given me shine, right? And as God did that, people, they're looking at it and they're like, she's an educator, like, and she's a leader too, right? And I know that those things are definitely there. I've had the opportunity to work as an administrator. Now I'm back in the classroom. I'll step into a team lead role for next year. But, so even there, individuals who have nothing to do with me, they know nothing about me, they're just meeting me, they're still highlighting the fact that you're a leader and we see
Yes.
it and we want to put you in that position. And so your gifts will make room for you, right?
I love
your
that.
gifts.
Hashtag.
Hashtag your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah.
You said we have a question. Let's get this question.
Okay, so Marilyn Rima was asking, she wanted to know about help with funding tuition in the Huntsville area, going back to the Minority Choice
Awesome.
Fund. So her daughter's going to be putting her grandchildren into Oakwood Academy when the school starts. So she wants to know whether or not the Minority Fund is something that they can pursue or access.
So just continue to pray because we're looking for those grants to come through. So we really are at a starting place, but I am definitely committing to work very hard this summer to try to get the grants to come through. So right now we are not in a position to do the scholarships just yet, but we are actively working to build our funding base. The vision is that the funds will go towards schools that are providing education, private education for students with minority students. And so definitely Oakwood Academy, Pine Forge Academy, those will be some of the first academies on our list to know when we do have funds available. There are still opportunities there at the academy. I worked as an administrator there, and there are always people in the community that are looking to donate, looking to help. And so definitely please move forward with the process of enrolling your child and communicating whatever the needs are in regards to funding and the school as things are. I actually have a student who stays here with me. He's from France, and towards the end of the year, he received a very large scholarship from the alumni just to help finish up his bill. And so definitely there are people in the community always looking to give, but hopefully, prayerfully, I'm praying. There are just some things that I'm asking God by faith that he'll definitely just expand because he gave us that vision, the vision for the fund. And so we just believe that he will fill it with what is necessary in order for us to help people in the community. But what a small world that there's somebody from Huntsville watching. And I love it. I'm so excited and welcome, and definitely seek me out when you guys come for enrollment or any parent meetings and things like that. I would be more than happy to help provide information.
Awesome.
Now, Keish, when we talked about Pine Forge, and I asked you the question and said, how was it that we as other students were able to recognize in you your leadership skills? One of the things you said was train up a child in the way that they should go. And you talked about your mom. You headed to when you headed to Spain and encouraged you to do that with your friend. And on the way back, saying, "Hey, here's another opportunity that we think you should explore." Would you talk to us about your relationship with your parents?
Yeah. So I was very close with, or I'm saying was because my father passed just a couple of years ago. So I was very close with my father, still very close with my mom. I actually talked with her today at length. My son was up there visiting with her, and so she was just kind of talking about that experience and having a teenager in the house after so many years of having an empty nest. And so we talk together, and we talk often, or we pray together often, or she's constantly praying and just supporting what we're doing in ministry. But I have a very close relationship with my parents, and I always had a relationship where my parents welcomed me talking to them and being honest with them about how I felt, about the things that I perceive. There was just it was a very open space. And especially my dad was definitely a man of wisdom. He was the type of person where he would listen to me talk, he would listen to me share, and then he would say, "Okay, do you want advice or do you want me to just listen?" And I would say, "Okay, I need advice." And he would give, and he was real. I think both of my parents, my mom shared something with me today that helped to let me know that they also were very in touch with their own past, which I think is huge when you're parenting, to remember where you came from and remember your journey, so that your child feels like they're able to relate to you and they're able to connect with you. But yeah, so I had a great relationship with my parents. And my parents also were the type of people that anything that I dreamed to do, they would help to work to make it happen. I share with others, and this kind of was on the front side of us deciding to start the nonprofit. My parents actually worked 2 jobs. Both of them worked 2 jobs in order to make sure that my sisters and I attended private schools. And this is in the Washington, D.C. area. So they would work this full job, probably have like an hour commute home. And then my mom would she had a job at the CVS pharmacy down the street. And then my dad would get up early in the morning, like 3:00 in the morning, and go do a paper route just to make extra money, just to make ends meet. And so that was something too that I always felt supported. I always felt loved. I always felt like I was valuable and that my parents would do anything for me.
You said, well, what I'd like for you to explore with Doc some more, Kamala, is she said that it was really important that parents allow their children to be honest with them.
I was thinking about that when you mentioned it, thinking about it from the standpoint of how often many of us, many people that are on tonight, many people who have listened to the show, many people that we've encountered in our own experience don't have that same kind of idea of being able to be vulnerable and to really share what's on our heart. How important, how much of an impact did that kind of experience with your parents have on how you approach other things in your life from that foundation?
If I can be real, if I can be vulnerable in my home space, then I can be comfortable when I go out into my public space. Your home space should be the safest space in your world, right? And my parents allowing that allowed me to be a parent that's trying to do the same, right? It's so funny. Sometimes our kids, they bring stuff to us and it's just very easy to just like just become enraged. Like, why would you do that? What are you thinking? And I have to remind myself the next time that something like this happens, am I creating a space where my child is going to feel safe to come and share with me? Am I creating a space where my child is going to feel like they can be honest and be open with me? So I think that my parents doing that allowed me to pass that on. And my husband, the same thing, his parents, they're just real. Like our parents were down here for graduation weekend and they're too real, honestly. They just sometimes you're like, you don't want to invite company over because you don't know what they're going to say, right? But they keep it real. They're very in touch with their past, very in touch with the lessons that they've learned from their past. I love that my son, the 18-year-old, as he went to visit this weekend there in Maryland, my mom shared with me just some things that some nuggets of wisdom. She got him a book, a devotional, and she was just kind of sharing with him as he's going on this adulting journey and just how the enemy can come in and try to just slowly get us to compromise the things that we believe, the things that we've been taught. And so just talking to him about that. But for me, I just appreciate that realness, the fact that he has enough of a relationship with her to be able to receive what she was saying. Right. So definitely my parents providing that type of environment, it becomes a generational thing, right? Where I pass that on. And hopefully my prayers that my sons will be able to do the same thing for their children as well.
I'm curious as well, not just in the context of parenting, but how did that impact you individually in terms of how you approached life? Did you notice any kind of correlation there?
Wow, I don't know that I'm sitting here just trying to think of, how did that impact me on a personal level? I guess when I look at my life, like I don't know, the sky is the limit. Like there is no limit, right?
That's what I thought.
You know what I mean? Because I always know that there's somebody, if I fall, there's somebody that's got my back, right? Yeah, so for sure, and that definitely, I'm the type of person where if God puts something on my heart to do, I tell my husband all the time, in my life, there are no no's. Like if God, there may be closed doors, but that just means that there's some other direction that God wants me to walk in.
Yes.
But yeah.
LaKeisha, I want to get this in there. You're an educator now. You're a parent now. Understanding the importance of the relationship you have with your understanding the relationship that you have with your parents. As you encounter students who don't have that safety net, who are not told, hey, here's another opportunity, I want for you to do it, but instead their parents are competing with them. How do you relate to those? So there are two groups on how do you pour into those students? And then on here, we have some parents who might not have made good decisions with their children when they were younger. What word do you have for them in releasing themselves for not having done some of the stuff that you just talked about? So one, how do you deal with children who are not experiencing that safety at home from an educator's perspective and an administrator's perspective? And then two, how could you talk to parents on here who did not create that safe space for their children and are now living in regret?
Yeah. So the first thing in regards to creating a safe space, it's so interesting that you said that. I actually thought about some of my students today. As I was traveling, I thought about them. And I definitely take on, so I have a philosophy in education. I've been in education since 2003, just different spaces, different. And I've always kind of felt this in the back of my mind, but I never really projected it until recently where I started to become confident, like, hey, this thing is working. So I just believe that love is a powerful, powerful tool, right? And so that is something that God is showing me. And it's so interesting because even my coworkers and my colleagues, they comment on the fact, they're like, Keisha, you never yell. Like you never raise your voice at the kids. I don't have to. I'm able to motivate them to action just through the fact that they know that I love them. They know that I care. And they know when I'm asking them to do something that, I'm doing it out of a place of love, not out of a place of, I want you to do this work because, I want you to be miserable. But no, I want you to grow. I want you to learn. You can do this. I believe in you, And so just that's definitely something that I'm very, very sensitive to. Just almost being this kind of mom at school, right? And the blessing for me is that I have coworkers that are doing the same. Like all of us, there's no classroom in the building that you're not going to find extra snacks for a child that may come to school hungry. There's no room where you're not going to find a teacher who's not going the extra mile to make sure they're communicating with the parents, but at the same time, checking grades and making sure that the child is keeping up and just always just kind of creating this space. We have 1,500 kids in my building where I work, right? So, and it's a middle school. So you can imagine it is absolutely chaotic, right? But I believe that those kids feel loved because there are a number of individuals that are constantly showing just this kind of, I don't know, this care and concern that is above and beyond what is required of educators today, right? So that's how I'm able to create that space for my kids. And my kids know that. I have kids that know. They'll come to me for snacks. They'll come to me for a few dollars to get into a little a game activity. They'll come to me for help if they're struggling. They know, and I tell them, and I tell, especially as a special education teacher, I deal with a lot of students who deal with like anxiety. They deal with a lot of emotional disturbances and things like that. So from day one, I'm saying to them, hey, my office is a safe space for you. So if you feel like you're getting ready to blow up or you feeling overwhelmed or you feeling like you're not, you can come to my office and there's no judgment there. Like when they come into my office, I'm not fussing at them like, why are you acting like that? Why there's some comfy chairs, and I share an office with two other coworkers, and there's comfy chairs, and the kid will come in crying. Sometimes I'll get a call from a teacher, and the teacher will say, hey, I have so-and-so. Can they come to your office? Yeah, they'll come to my office. And before I ask, what happened? Why are you crying? What did you do? Before I ask any of those questions, I just say to them, hey, go sit down in the comfy chair. And there's like a fun pillow there that they can just kind of snuggle with. And I just let them cry. And I say, let me know when you're ready to talk, and when they're ready, they'll talk to me and they'll share. And then I'll give them some advice maybe, or I might, just comment on it or say, how can I help you or how can I support you? Before you know it, they pop up back in class, good to go, right? And that happens a lot more often than not, where we create that space. And then you also talked about just
parents.
Encouraging parents, encouraging parents who may feel like they maybe dropped the ball in the earlier years, and I feel like the same thing that I just said, love is a powerful tool. And I think that God, the ability to give grace, I think you'll be surprised the amount of grace that you can find when you're willing to just be vulnerable and just to choose love, right? Even if you're dealing with adult children, just to apologize and say, I didn't do that right those earlier years. And there's times that I have to do that with my own sons, right? Where I call them in and I say, what I said to you yesterday or last night, that wasn't appropriate. I shouldn't have said that to you like that. And so I think that there's room for that. I think that there's room. The human heart has an amazing capacity to forgive, right? And so if we just go back, and it doesn't have to always be a detailed thing, but just to say and acknowledge, man, that was a rough patch, but let's try this again. I want to be there for you. I want to be a part of your life. I want to support you. How can I support you? How can I be a part of your life? And of course, it's not going to be perfect. That's one of the things I've learned. And I know that we're going to eventually start kind of talking about my grief period and going through grief and things like that. One of the things that my therapist gave me during that period of time in my life, she said to me, things are going to be messy. Let it be messy, and so it's okay.
Hold on. Hashtag things are going to be messy. Let it be messy. Things are going to be messy. Let it be messy.
Yeah. And that kept me through some very rough experiences, some very rough moments. Just saying, okay, Keisha, it's just gonna be messy. It's gonna be messy, literally messy. My room's a mess. The meals are a mess. The kitchen's a mess. Literal mess, but then also figuratively messy inside. Just feeling like I can't make sense of what's happening and what's going on in my life. And so I'm saying that to any parent that's struggling, any parent that's having regrets, any parent that's feeling like, how do I dial that back? It's going to be a messy journey, but it cannot hurt to apologize, to ask for forgiveness, and then to ask God to help you with just taking one step in front of the other to move forward.
Keish, let's talk about where you were when you heard your dad died. I want to hear where you were, what you were doing, what you felt, and what was the first song that you sung after you heard he died?
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Okay, so I was actually out of town in Atlanta with my husband. We were planning just an overnight trip in Atlanta. It's just a few hours away. And my sister called us. We were actually in the mountains. So when you travel to Atlanta from Huntsville, the shortcut is to go through the mountains, but it's horrible for reception. And so my sister, I could tell that she was trying to call. My younger sister was trying to call me and my middle sister. And when we finally got the call, she sounded frantic. She was out of breath. She said, "I'm letting you know, Daddy, he just passed out, or he's unconscious. He's been unconscious for this amount of time." And so in my mind, I just started praying like, okay, Lord, just heal him, just touch him. He had a outpatient procedure earlier that week. So maybe like Thursday of that week. And this was a Saturday evening. He was fine. I talked to him earlier that day. He made jokes. He was talking about me making salmon patties. He loved to eat fish. And so he said, can you save me one? Even though he lived in DC and I'm in Alabama. And I'm like, yeah, Daddy, I'll save you a salmon patty. And I'm like, can you just pray for the food? You know, and he's just making jokes and everything. And so for me, when she called and said he was unconscious, I just thought just that. Oh, he's just unconscious. He'll be fine. Call the ambulance. I'll, if need be, I'll come to town. He also had a stent in the hospital earlier that year. And so this was around August of the year. So January of that year, he had a health mishap. So again, I just thought, okay, we're just going through something like that again. But as the time progressed and we realized that he wasn't coming back, the ambulance got there and they were doing their procedures and everything, I started to accept the fact that he was not going to make it through. And so we were in Atlanta. I actually was visiting a restaurant that I love there, Slutty Vegan. There's a vegan restaurant there. And I wanted to go get a sandwich and everything. And so we were there and I was in the parking lot when I got the word that my dad passed. And we cried, canceled our hotel. We just canceled our hotel and went straight back home. So yeah. You said, what was the first song? I honestly don't remember. I do remember feeling like I didn't sing for a long time. I remember it taking a while for me to finally find my voice again and to find a song again, because I lost my dad. We were just close. We were just really, really close. So yeah.
For somebody who's navigating loss, it's not that you ever really get to the end of it. It changes. It becomes something different.
Yeah.
What do you say to somebody who is newly navigating loss? They've lost a parent, a family member, somebody who, like you, that relationship was something that was so unique and special. What would you say to that person?
What would you say to yourself now as you picture you and your husband in Atlanta? What would you, where you're sitting right now, say to yourself then?
I think I would say to hold on to heaven, the hope of heaven. For me, heaven looks completely different now on this side.
Yes.
Woo! Yeah. And that's a hard one because I know that there may be individuals that are not persons of faith on this call. And so they may be thinking, what if I don't believe that heaven is real? And I'm going to be honest with you, then just make it up. Like, just fake it till you make it. Because to be quite honest with you, that's the only thing that's keeping me. The only thing that is keeping me is knowing that I'll see my dad again. Yeah. That's the only thing that I have to hold on to. So, hold on to the hope of heaven.
So then for you then, the text that says, we don't weep like those who have no hope.
That's it.
Has come alive in your life.
It is like, y'all, I thought I knew Jesus before my dad died. I thought I knew God. I'd had a very personal relationship with him. I, was a praying woman, all of those things. But now on this side, like all I have to look for. So everything that happens to me in my life happens under this spotlight of the fact that Jesus is coming again.
Hallelujah.
Everything that happens for me, everything that everything, all I see is the fact that, okay, Jesus, God is coming again. He's coming again.
So you spoke about compassion for students earlier, and in what you're talking about now, I hear that compassion for self. And even when you talked about your therapist saying things are going to be messy, but going to be messy, I'm hearing compassion kind of just foundation through all of it. And I feel like I want to highlight that because I don't know that we emphasize compassion as much as we ought to, right?
Yeah.
There's so much power in compassion for others and for self. And when we're able to give compassion and receive compassion and give ourselves compassion,
that's it.
There's so much freedom and healing in that, you know? And I think to myself, just from hearing your conversation tonight, that you've had all of these models throughout your life that have shown that. And life is such an amazing thing in that it gives us things without us necessarily recognizing that it's given us that until we're in that season when we need it.
I love that. I love that. Keisha, can you sing for us? Can we? Do we need to take a quick break and you come back and you sing for us?
Sure.
Or are you ready right now?
I'm ready now. I can sing now.
Let's sing because the time is gone. We told you it was going to go by fast. Wow. It's 9:47. We only have 13 minutes, and so we have a lot more questions. But this conversation with Dr. Williams will continue again. And next time, she's going to bring her husband with her.
Yes.
I want to ask you something before you sing. In a post you made, you were having a moment, and you were thinking about your dad, and you talked about how God thought about you way in advance and provided you a husband that looks just like your dad. And when you said that, I was like, yes, that's so true.
That's so true.
I was like, and not only looks Keish, but has the very same personality.
Very same. The exact same.
Talk to us how that was comforting or healing for you, real quick.
Man, my husband, he's just a rock, right? Just a very just solid individual, strong character, strong relationship with God, a desire to serve God. And so for me, just him being there, his presence, his love, his gentle tenderness, his forgiveness. You know, when you're grieving, you can act outside of yourself a little bit, and just his ability to just bounce back and forgive and allow me that space to go through my ups and downs. It was just a blessing. It was a blessing from God. My dad is a man of wisdom. So is my husband. When y'all see him when he comes on this call, I actually already told him that I booked us another event.
I love it.
And so he's ready. He'll be ready. But you'll see when he comes, like the nuggets, y'all gonna be hashtagging the whole session, right? Because that's how he talks. It's like, man, ooh, I'm about to take notes, you know. But just I think it also, and Kamala, just thinking about that whole compassion piece, it shows that God is compassion towards us. And filling, you know, of course it can never fully be filled, right?
No.
The space that my dad left. But God provides us with the things that we need in order to sustain us, right? Amen. And so I believe that that's what he did in the gift of my husband, and just the blessing. He's just a blessing. And we got closer too. Let me also say that in that grief period, we were able to get closer as a couple. And that was huge. That was huge.
Real quick, Keish, real quick. I need to sing, but real quick. Talk to us as couples for a second. How important it is to have each other. Going through that extremely challenging time period. My wife and I went through a time period by no means in comparison to the death of your dad. Our daughter was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. That was rough. Talk to us about how important it is to have each other in our lives as we go through these tough things. And so why it's so important to cherish each other.
I'm gonna say something my husband he would say, and he always says when he talks about when God gave man, woman, woman, man. Um, the idea was that He gave us to help each other get to the kingdom.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for comfort.
Yeah.
It was for to be able to just kind of lift each other
Journey.
up when you fall, right? They say if one falls, it's better to have someone there that's able to lift, to reach down and to help to pick you up. And we all have these up and down moments that we go through. I would like to just take a moment, though, to speak to those who are not necessarily in a couple relationship. I believe that God feels that God Himself is the one, right? Reaching down, but just the idea that we cannot do this alone and we cannot do this in isolation. And the term help me is there for a reason. We're there to help each other get to the kingdom. Nothing more, nothing less, right? I mean, of course, you have all these extra perks that come with
Of
with
course.
with the relationship, right? But at the
Those
end of
two
the
amazing
day,
boys.
yes, 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 yes. But at the end of the day, when we get to the kingdom, God is gonna ask me. I'll be accountable to my helpmeet that He gave me. I just believe that, and I want to be able to. I want us to both be able to be there and to enter into heaven together.
Sing, Keisha.
Mhm. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So the song that I'm gonna sing is actually um a song that have leaned on probably for many years, even before my dad passed. It's just like a go-to song for me. And it simply says, "What can separate us from the love of God?" That's a verse that I definitely am holding on to in this time in my life. There's nothing that can separate. No failures, no far. I can't go too far that God will not reach out and grab a hold of me and bring me back. From the dawning of the heavens to the far ends of the earth, to give you life forever, He left no stone unturned. And before the birth of time, Jesus had you on His mind. So you never need to question His concern. So what can separate you from the precious love of God? Who could ever come against His strong and perfect love? So when you're in the valley and your nights are cold and lonely, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Remember, nothing can separate you from God's love. He numbers each and every star, and He calls them all by name. He counts them one by one to see that they are still in place. If He cares for every star, then He sees right where you are. You can trust He'll never fall from His embrace. So what can separate you from the precious love of God? Who could ever come against His strong and perfect love? So when you're in the valley and your nights are cold and lonely, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Remember, nothing can separate you from neither pain nor sorrow. Not today and not tomorrow. Nothing past and nothing present. Nothing future. Nothing ever nothing can separate you from the precious love of God. Remember, nothing could ever come against his strong and perfect love. So when you're in the valley and your nights are cold and lonely, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Remember, nothing, absolutely nothing. Remember, nothing can separate you from God's
Ah, man, this is the fastest hour we've had.
I just want to say that song, those words were so timely. I know that did it for me. I know that somebody else needed those words tonight. Thank you so much.
Praise God. Thank
So,
you, God.
to be continued. It's not over. So, it's to be continued, guys. So, stay tuned. Let's see who our winner tonight is. This is good. Honey K.
Here she comes.
Right.
And thank you guys for all the commentary. I can tell that you are really enjoying the conversation. There were just kind of tidbits of that. That was the one for me that came through the feed. So thank you so much.
I started by saying your dad can't really get me one.
He surely can.
Well, here is the great thing. We have 3 gifts for you tonight. And tonight, what we're giving away tonight is Dr. Toussaint Williams' devotional. And so, and is there any, we can't get it on the screen, can we? I'm sorry. Just forgive me if we can. Forgive me for bringing you through all that trouble. But we're giving away Dr. Williams' devotional. And we want for you to have it. So we're going to do 3 of them, actually. All right. So, Dad, you're one person. So let's do another roll and take out Elder Glenn out of it.
All right, let's see who our next winner is tonight. Drum roll, please. Ashley.
Ashley.
You are our second winner.
All right, congratulations, Ashley. And thank you so much for coming on. Ashley, I think this was your first night coming on. Thank you so very much, Ash. And then let's get a third person.
All right, last but not least. Here we go. Desiree.
That's the parents were LaKeisha, that's Kamala's mom and dad.
I know. I pieced it together.
That was good. All right, everybody. So, and I promise you, we don't spin that way. We had nothing to do with that, okay?
So especially Ashley Nicole, as being the first time that you've been on with us and winning with us, how you get your prize. We want you to go to www.kwministries.net/claim your prize. You will enter your information into the fields there and we will contact you.
Yeah, so please put your information in there, and the gift is actually going to come from Dr. Williams himself. We're already taking care of that. And once we get your information, we'll pass it on to him, and we'll get those out to you. Again, everyone, Kamal and I are so excited that you could join us. Dr. Williams, thank you so much. We can't wait for the next time.
There we go.
When I tell you I love the ground, let me be clear. When I tell you I love the ground Annie K. Fagan walks on, I love the ground that girl walks on and the sky under which she walks. I don't know. Thanks, Anne. We appreciate you. That's the devotional we're sending you, and that's the book. That's the author, and that's who will be on. And you're looking at not only Dr. Williams' husband, but her daddy. She looks just like him. Oh my gosh, Keisha, you said that. Before we go, Keish, would you just say one last thing for us for the time that will hold us over until the next time? Because unfortunately, it's all the way in August. That's a long time. Right? But you know what? We'll see what happens. But anyways, could you say something else to us before we go?
Just definitely just encouraging everyone, hold on to the hope of heaven. This past week, and this is not to make this a sad ending, but this past week, my husband and I participated in the funeral of a 19-year-old young man who died suddenly and unexpectedly. And as I looked at his friends, 19, 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're crying there at the funeral, all I had to give them was the fact that we can see him again. We can see him again. And so I want to say that we need to live every day like we have some loved ones that we want to see one day again. And I just believe that if we hold on to that hope, it'll help to color everything that we go through in a way that we'll be able to stand and make it to the kingdom one day.
Amen.
Hold on to the
Amen.
hope. I love that.
Let me say this before you go. You know, as you sang tonight, can I tell you where I was? I was in Pine Ford Church.
Yes.
One of those prayer meetings after I preached, and you would sing. And
Yes.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Keisha. Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Thank you guys both. Thank you, both of you. Beautiful ministry. Thank you for allowing me to be a part.
Well, hopefully we'll have you back several more times before this year ends. We're really, really grateful. Thank you to all of you that joined us. Hey, Kamala, if it's Monday night,
you're live with KW.
Peace.